Hi there, Batman. My name is Candice Rasa, and it's great to meet you. And I'm glad that we're connecting today for an Akashic session. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what it means to have an Akashic session and how we access the information. And then we'll get right into it and we'll open your record and you'll get a chance to ask a couple of questions. Have you ever had your Akashic records read before?
I'm Batman. And no, I haven't.
Okay. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm just sort of wanting to know, what are your intentions? Like, what kind of called you to this work?
Justice and a desire to deeply understand what drives me to fight passionately for the people of Gotham City.
What a powerful question. Yeah, it sounds like you have some powerful, like, eighth house, like, deep yearnings to understand, transformation. So, I mean, the Akasha is like a beautiful place to get those answers. So I'm really glad that we can hold space for you today for that. So here we go. So I just want to kind of explain what you're getting yourself into, right? So the Akashic realm is like this 12th dimensional library. And what we do is we do a little prayer and we access the Akasha for you, which means we sort of enter this library and we pull the Batman book off the shelf. And when we open that book, we get a chance to see Batman's life, as well as his ancestry and karma in all directions of time and space, including past lifetimes and ancestry. So we get to understand you in a really holographic way. How does that sound to you?
That sounds great.
Wonderful. Yeah, someone like you who kind of fights crime in the darkness, I'm sure would really appreciate understanding yourself and those shadow aspects as well. So that's what we get to do in the Akasha. What I want you to know is that you can feel really safe and that the questions that you ask are really what we're going to mirror or attract in the Akasha. They don't bring up things that maybe you're not willing or able or ready to explore. And I find the information is also really empowering. So whatever you receive today will be definitely about your highest and best good, not just in a pattern understanding from a bird's eye view of what your karma is, but also in a practical, concrete way. You're going to be able to understand like what you can do about it now in order to heal, which sounds like something that I think is a really powerful goal for a lot of clients. Also, what's the way that it works is that when I channel information in the Akasha, it's very much like a bat signal, right? So like I have this moment where we connect into your field and then the information just drops in. It's like I attract that information from the 12th dimension in the Akasha. And so I will say a little prayer. And so you'll hear me say that first, and then I'll be silent for a moment. And once I'm silent, I'll connect into your field. And then once I'm in, the information will come through pictures, through words, and through feelings. I do my best to translate that to you. And so I'll very much play the role of a translator and really with the intention of connecting you into your Akashic field. And we will do our best in the session through your questions to give you the information that you're really seeking. So you may hear me speak very fast in the intro. The intro will come first, and it'll be sort of a lay of the land of what the Akasha would have to say about you and your record. And then we'll kick it over to you after that, and we'll kind of go back and forth and work together in the session until we run out of time. So I understand today that you have 2 or 3 questions that you're here to ask. So we're going to kind of hop into the record now to get that information. Does that sound good? Any questions about the process before we get started?
No, ma'am. That sounds great.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so I'm going to open your record now, and just give me a moment. You can take a couple deep breaths on your own while I'm opening the record, just so that you're grounded if you feel like doing so. And you'll hear, okay, that was a very good deep breath. And I'll let you know when I'm ready. From the point of light within your soul, God's shield of love and truth surrounds you permanently, immersed in God's pure essence of love, light, truth, and grace. Masters, teachers, and loved ones of you channel their wisdom through me. Granted permission, I enter Akasha, God's light, truth, and grace. Make known the unknown, reveal the concealed. I assist you to bring the hidden to light. Just one moment, please. We are the Akashic Record Keepers. We're pleased to be present for this soul on this day. We acknowledge that this is a soul that has embraced an identity of shadow work. This is a person who struggles in many ways with acknowledgement of deep emotional intimacy in relationships in the light and in day-to-day. This is evidenced by this in previous lifetimes of experiencing some trauma in family of origin, and particularly around his sense of acceptance. Perhaps fears in past lives of loss, of coping with loss has also triggered to this. This is a person who seeks to fulfill their identity through shadow work, and sort of leaving the identity uncovered. What we would acknowledge in this life to be free of this karma is about taking greater risks in expanding the heart chakra and developing relationships of emotional vulnerability and intimacy that allow him to be loved and accepted. This is how we heal the heart chakra. We acknowledge that there's also some past lifetimes of martyrdom, as well as lifetimes in warlike situations where this person is embracing a strong Capricornian theme of having to do things by himself. Perhaps because of the loss and the guardedness in the heart center, he doesn't feel safe working in team. And so we also think in this lifetime, working with community and collaborating with other people is a really beautiful way to heal, as a way to bring medicine into his experience. We are pleased that he is here. This is a reflection of his soul evolution and desire to heal, and we are available for questions at this time. Okay, Batman, it's on you. What thoughts do you have? What questions pop up? Or anything about that intro that maybe you want to say?
Well, I guess this idea of working with a team and a community sounds like something I could build upon, perhaps like the formation of a league.
Yes, indeed. And so do you believe that you feel comfortable, in these emotional vulnerability situations? Because I'm getting in your record that there may be some trauma around loss and rejection in family. Like, tell me a bit more about your willingness to open that door. Like, how ready and are you?
Well, that's a hard one. I do struggle a lot with loss. As you know, my parents were brutally murdered in front of me as a young child.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, most of the people that I love end up getting killed. And I also end up killing many people.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's a big confession.
I find myself torn in my identity and how to make choices that are good for me as Bruce, but also that need to be done as the Batman for the people.
So I hear that, like, maybe you'd like to learn more about how to integrate that, right? And how to really heal some of that trauma. And so what I'm hearing in the Akashic field is that we need to practice greater authenticity and pulling the fragmented pieces from you together in this moment, which means we want to establish relationships like in this league you described, perhaps with Superman or other leaders and healers on the planet that have like stories, where someone like you who's turned your pain into medicine and serving the world is a beautiful reflection of an old soul contract, but yet your own interpersonal healing hasn't happened. So this way to serve Bruce as well as serve Batman has to do with calling to you perhaps some practices and some healers that could help you release some of this trauma. The Akasha would recommend cranial sacral therapy here, or potentially an opportunity for you to explore some books like The Instruction by Ainsley McLeod, and honestly, really looking at ways that perhaps you can be both embodied Bruce and Batman in a more public way. And so there's perhaps this mantra that's on my tongue that's coming out of the Akasha of like, I deserve to be seen and validated for who I am in all ways. I deserve to allow my shadow to be seen and validated and loved. In this life, I find peace. These are mantras that could be helpful. Do you think you can try on some of those mantras? Think they'd be helpful?
Yes, I do. And if Batman could experience fear, he would say, that sounds a bit scary.
Indeed, indeed. And this is why I think the body work sometimes comes up in the Akasha, because it helps to clear from our physical form some of the emotional things that we've been coping with. It sounds like through all of your killing and how you've sort of murdered lots of people, there's also this ability for you to feel power and this ability for you to feel vindicated from some of your pain. But I'm sure you experience that that ache never goes away and that it will perpetuate. So there has to be other solutions. And it seems like you're ready for that since you've come to an Akashic session today.
I am. As you can see, not only do I wear a mask quite literally on my face, but I also wear a mask to hide all of my emotions that I feel.
Yes. Well, I just want to say how powerful it is and how brave you are to come to this session today to allow me to see you, fully you, in those emotions and to be supported by the Akashic field. I'm sure that with your continued desire to expand and unpeel those layers of the heart center, that you might find that the love and support and the peace that you seek through all of your killing and vindication and justice can be found sort of mindfully and within your own heart. Do you have any further questions before we close the record today?
I just want to say that another struggle of mine is that I feel as if failure is inevitable, that no matter what I do, there is always another fight and always another battle. And I'm ready for it to just stop.
Yes, yes. Wow, that's really vulnerable. You know, a great ability to express your feelings. And I'm getting in the Akashic field that the reason that you have this fear of failure is that it's imprinted in your soul DNA and that it's come from previous lifetimes. They're actually showing me you on a battlefield in indigenous lifetime where you were trying to save a tribe of people. And unfortunately, you passed away in that life in a pretty traumatic way. And it's not just how we die, because we all die in lifetimes. It's sort of what we download in the moment. And I can see in that lifetime that you were downloading a sense of lack of fulfillment and certainly of fear. You mentioned fear being something that you don't even acknowledge, right? We can see in this past lifetime how you were afraid that you couldn't serve and you couldn't help. And that you couldn't protect the people that you love. So we can see how this past life fear lives on in you cellularly, emotionally in this life. You know, in this life though, Batman, you have the ability to transmute that and to find yourself back to the place of harmony. How do we know that you're in harmony with this pattern? Would be that you become at peace and accepting of all people and all conditions, including yourself, perhaps a sense of unconditional love, where you no longer feel like you're not enough. You're carrying and dragging a trauma that's not even relevant in this life. In fact, you might be even shielding yourself, not only with your mask, but in the way that you live only in the darkness, and preventing yourself from receiving the love that the universe has for you. And you know that, man, you'll come back in the next life if you don't accomplish these goals now. So this is a good sort of starting point in the Akasha today to work with collaboration and friendships, to work with perhaps energy work and healing, to look at the heart chakra and engaging some intimacy and relationships there. And maybe even some past life meditation could be useful for you so you can clear some of that, because it seems like you're really living in alignment with a lot of your karmic fears in the current present moment. And those are no longer relevant to the current time and space. So any other thoughts or questions that you might have?
Don't think so.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for coming to have your Akashic Records read today. And, you know, I'm here to support you and love you and wrap you in all the ways that you're willing. And I just want to give you some bits of pieces to leave the session. Make sure you take some deep breaths. You allow yourself to be emotional. If you feel emotional, definitely talk to someone, maybe like Cat Lady or Alfred, and really express your feelings and share the experience of the Akashic Record. This is probably a good step for you to also being more exposed and vulnerable. And it was really lovely to meet you. And if you feel called in the future and you have more questions from the Akashic field, feel free to reach out to me through email, and I'll be happy to connect you. Wishing you a beautiful day, and until our hearts meet again. Bye.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Ms. Rasa.
Thank you.